Hey everybody, welcome to another week. This is going to be a short week for the channel. I'm only going to have shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, Friday will be no shows because it's Thanksgiving and, everybody is going to be spending time doing the family things or whatever. So I'll be back the following Monday, which we will be going over this book. I'm so excited. I am so excited. All right. Now I'm waiting for this to load. Hi, Hannah. Hi, CB. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Miss Natasha. Thank you all for joining me. Hi, Maria. Hi, Liliana. Hello, everybody. Thank you for all the blue hearts, Hannah and Shannon. Thank you so much. All right. So, we got a few things to cover tonight. And of course, it's always going to be an open chat. So if you have any questions during the chat, if they're not related to the topic, we'll wait till the end. But if they're related to the topic, feel free to go ahead and put your question in. All right, so the QVC show. Hi, Christina. I can't wait either. I am so excited about QVC. I love QVC. That is, I like the idea of it. Of course, I have not ordered anything from QVC, but I'm just saying. So I definitely need this advice. Good. I'm glad. Coping strategies is what we're going to talk about tonight. It's stressful being a medical coding student. It is stressful when you are a brand new medical coder, right? Because you don't know anything. It's like, I got to know all this stuff, and how am I supposed to know all of this? And what is going to be expected? And how do I keep up? How do I get to that point where I know everything's going to be all right? Okay. Oh, I'm so excited, Liliana. Liliana gets her book tomorrow. So if you don't know, it's this book that we're talking about. Going to be doing a review on November. I keep wanting to say January. All day today, January. November 29th, which is next Monday, we're going to be reviewing this book. We're going to be reviewing it QVC style. And if you don't know what that means, you'll have to tune in to find out. I'm so excited. All right. So one thing I will mention, though, when we go over this book, make sure you have your questions ready on anything that you're curious about or something that didn't make sense. I've been going through it already. I've been making my notes for the show. And so very excited about it. All right. Yes. So tonight we are talking about stress coping strategies for medical coding students and new medical coders. And of course, this can apply even if you are a veteran coder and maybe you're switching to a new clinic. So, and we've given everybody plenty of time to get in. So, hi Candice, thank you for joining me. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Tonight, I'm gonna be talking about coping strategies for medical coding students and new medical coders. The stress of being in this field. How do you deal with it? How are some of the best ways to cope with it? Okay, so that's tonight's show. I will start off with a disclaimer first. I am not a licensed professional, but I am somebody who has been there. I have been somebody who has been in the weeds, stressed out, new, just starting out, not knowing anything. I came from a background of zero medical. And that's, I didn't have any college, I didn't have anything, nothing, no advanced education. And so coming into this field, it was going to be an uphill climb. But everybody's journey is going to be different. And I will start off by saying this. A lot of times when adults go back to school, it is difficult for those around them to be supportive sometimes. And sometimes the thought of somebody getting educated and doing something new and being in a more advanced field is scary sometimes for some family members. I recall being in school, and there was ladies, for a bunch of different age ladies, right? So, younger people like me, and there was people in their 30s, people in their 40s, and then some ladies that were in their 50s. And so one of the ladies that was in her 30s, she was in her 30s, I remember, and she was saying that her family, her own parents, her mother told her, I don't know why you're going back to school, you're not smart. And another person said, well, my husband said he doesn't know why I'm doing this because I quit everything I start. And so that is a horrible thing, right? When you're starting out and you're already learning a lot of things all at one time, and it's horrible to get that, right? But the thing about going through something like this and having this goal is this goal can actually be your escape from all your worries, from all your stresses, from everything that's going on around you. Even though the act of studying can be stressful, this can actually be your escape if you let it. Okay, there's a lot to this field, and there's a lot that it will bring you if you allow yourself to go through those things. You have to remember that going through school or even studying for your certification exam is just a temporary period of time. It is not forever. This is just the beginning, and it's just the groundwork. How you handle that stress is what will either make you or break you during this time, because it's not just this time that's going to be stressful. It is going to be looking for work, and it is going to be actually when you get your job, being in that position and excelling in that position. So each stage is going to bring a different set of stresses. What you have to do is look at your goal, and even if it is just a private thing between you, yourself, and the wall, you have to decide that this is what you want to do. Despite what other people may tell you, despite everything else that you have going on. And I know that there's a lot of people who start out in this field, even starting to go to school, that have families and small children. Sometimes they have grown children, sometimes they have teenagers. And they say, Blue, I feel so guilty, leaving my kids, and I've had many that say, my kids are in high school, and I feel guilty doing this for myself. Your kids are going to go and do their thing in just a few years. And by the time you know it, they're going to be gone and out of the house. And you have the opportunity to show them something great. You have the opportunity to show them what it's like to get into something and actually see it through. So many times we've seen people who just give up out of sheer frustration because they're feeling that pressure from their family members, they're feeling the pressure from not understanding things in school. But when you understand that, number one, you're not going to understand everything right away, and that's okay. When you tell yourself that can take some of that pressure off, because believe it or not, everybody that's in your class or the other people that are studying for their certification exams, trust me, they don't understand everything either. I just took my CCS exam. I've been a veteran medical coder since 2008, and I still had uncertainty about coding on the inpatient side. And I've been in this field since 2008. I've been a medical coding student since 2007. So that says a lot. This is a huge undertaking that we were being asked of as medical coders, because we have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. And I tell people to do things in baby steps, and to actually look at whatever task it is that you have in front of you and concentrate and focus on that. Don't concentrate and focus on what if I can't, what if I this, what if I that, because that is useless information. Honestly, in your head, that is useless, because that is that inner voice trying to sabotage what you are trying to do. So what you need to do is overcome that. Every time you start to think it, you need to stop. And you need to say, no, this is my goal. I'm going to do this. We're going to get through this. I can learn this. And there are a lot of people that take that time to get in there and get focused. When I tell people to have a schedule, it helps to have a schedule because it gives your mind structure. And it helps when you have small children, or if you have teenagers, or if you're just married and it's just you and your spouse. It does give that time a little bit more, okay, well, we know they're studying at this time, so this is their time to study. And yeah, there's going to be times when they're not going to be supportive. They want your attention and they want it now. And they're not going to really understand, why are you doing this? So in those times that happens, that's sometimes that you have to just say, okay, maybe I'm going to take a pause for just a few minutes, or I'm going to take a pause for a day, half a day, and I'm going to get back to this when I know that there's going to be time when I'm going to be alone and by myself. And even if that means that you have to get up a little bit extra early, or even if it means you have to go to bed a little bit extra late, whatever time that you need to get in order to study is what you need to do. You can also make flashcards. Even taking a little bit of the information in at a time is better than taking no information in at a time. And I know I harp on you guys about studying and that you need to do this, you need to do that, and that it is very difficult. And I get that. But again, the only way that you're going to be able to get through this time is to actually do some of the work, right? You have to actually get in there. You actually have to do the work. But it is about telling yourself that it is okay for my family members not to be supportive. It is okay for them to not understand my vision at this point, because they don't know. I mean, when you tell somebody on the street, hey, I'm a medical coder, they might look at you like you have 3 heads. So it is about saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is my goal. This is nobody else's goal. And how they feel about it is how they feel about it. But I don't have to be responsible for those feelings. And even if it is from your children, it's okay, because you know what? They don't understand right now. But when they see you get through that, and they see you get your certification, and they see you get your first job, that's going to teach them that this is what you need to do in order to meet those goals. Because if they always see you just giving up and saying, okay, well, I was really excited about this, but I'm just gonna spend time with my family and do this instead, and just kind of give up on what I want, that's always going to bother you. And having that regret of not finishing or not seeing it through is going to eat you up. Trust me, more than any other thing. The only one who can really give yourself a hard time is yourself when something like that comes along, because you always have that, no matter what. And again, when you're deciding to do these things, write them down. No one else has to know. You don't have to share it with the whole world. You don't have to share it with everybody. This is between you and your goal. And when you have your eyes on the prize, that is what is going to help you get through that time. Take breaks. Set a schedule. If you have a busy lifestyle at home, that's okay. You're a full-time parent at home, then study in the times that you know your child or children are away. Set days. You don't have to go 7 days in a row. You don't even have to go 5 days in a row. You can go every other day. And you can break it up 1 hour at a time. This is why I say work 1 hour at a time. You don't have to go for long stretches. This is not like when you're in college or even in your senior year of high school and you're trying to get through your SATs or whatever, and you're pulling these all-nighters, and in college you have to pull all these all-nighters. It's not the same way. Medical coding is a little bit different. You can structure your learning time differently, but you have to commit to it. There's no, the more that you commit to it, the better off it is. And the stress part comes in when people start thinking about all the things that could possibly go wrong. And what is it that every time happens when we think something could possibly go wrong? It doesn't, right? And it sometimes, a lot of times, doesn't even happen. So when you start to have those feelings of like, oh, this is, no, I can't. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That's normal. But we have to put that feeling aside. And whatever you have to do, whether it is walk around the block or just take a few minutes to just take a break for a minute and just come back to it, whatever you have to do, but you have to get committed to it, because it is a process, and it is a unforgiving process when you are in that study period for your test, because you want to be able to retain that stuff. But having that crowded mind of all the stress and the worry and everything else that you're thinking of that can actually be put on the back burner when you get it in your mind that this is what you want to do. When people find things that they want to do, they'll make the time to do it, no matter what it is. And it could be good for them, it could be not so great for them, but they will make time to do whatever it is that they want. And it's the same way with this. When you want to have a new career, when you want to change your life and you want to get out there and do something else. You know, I cleaned houses. I delivered phone books, which I loved, but delivering phone books went away. I would have done that forever if I could, because it was like the best time of my life, believe it or not. But I cleaned houses. I was a bartender. I worked at horrible places with horrible managers. I worked on my feet for 12, 13, 14 hours a day. And I've been there. I've been in that stressful time. That was not what I wanted. And I had to keep my eye on my why, which was I needed to get my life back together. I needed to do things that I knew were going to improve, and I needed better for me, right? I was lucky in that I had a great support system in my mom. That was all I needed. And that was the reason that I have my career now, is because of her. And I say that all the time. I say that I owe my career to my mom, and I really do. I would not have what I love today if it had not been for her pushing me. Because there was times when I was like, I don't get all of this stuff. Like, how am I supposed to get this? My mom would tell me, yes, you can. You can do this. You can absolutely do this. And she would sit there and she would go through flashcards with me. She would make flashcards and she would sit there and drill with me. And she was learning it too. She was learning that medical terminology too. She's like, wow, this is a lot. And when she would see me come home with these good grades and everything, you know, it was nice. It was nice to have that. And I know I was lucky in that. But that didn't preclude all the stress that I also went under at the time too, which was I was going through a divorce. I had moved back in with my mom, and which was fine, you know. I just didn't like her husband. So, and that was stressful for me, and just to be there and to listen to him and yak, and that wasn't the greatest time either. But it was also my motivator too. Like, I need to do this. I need to get through, and I need to make this career happen. And then to hear the words of, at the time when my husband and I were going through our divorce, to hear, oh, you can't. Okay. And that stress of not being able to find a job after I got my certification, and I was just like, that was the first hurdle, was passing that certification, passing it on the first try. And then not being able to get a job, 2 months. And I'm still here working at the bar, and I'm still going through all of this stuff. What I did was I kept visualizing, this is not my life. I want a career. I want to work in a hospital. I started imagining I'm working in a hospital. I get to work with doctors. I get to work with the staff. I get to do these classes and things like that. I get to go places. That was my goal set. And that was what I started to envision for myself, which writing it down and envisioning it for yourself was a way that I could escape out of that stress. That was where I was thinking, you know how they say, go to your happy place? Literally, that's what I did, was I went to my happy place. That was my happy place. And that, okay, I can. And then I started to see it happen when I applied with a temp agency, got my first job, started working at the Cancer Therapy Research Center, and actually going through records and learning all of this stuff and being there with the dictionary and being like, gosh, what does this word mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? Not working with an encoder, actually working with a book. So that was what I went through. And just the stress of like, okay, at this job, was I going to get picked? Because there was 3 of us, and they said, we're only going to pick one of you to stay. And staying there meant that I made decent money. And I was like, okay, cool. And then at the end, I didn't get picked, which was fine. But I mean, I wouldn't want to work under that lady that that I would have been working under. So it was just like, gosh, what did I do? I spent all this time in school. This can't be it, right? And so the temp agency said, well, we have another assignment. We just happened to get this contract. And so, if you want to do this, you have to move. And this is an 8-hour away move that you have to do. Number one, you want to talk about stress. You're moving. Number two, I knew not a soul when I went to that city. And number three, I had never lived by myself. You want to talk about stress? I was just like, I really got to do this now. I had never lived alone. Never lived by myself. I went from my mom's house to my husband's house and back to my mom's house. And now I have to start a new job, and I got to go to a new city where I know nobody. I have no friends. I have nothing. And I got to start. And all I had was a couple of suitcases when I went there. And I was scared out of my mind, scared. But what helped me, I started walking. They had a track at the hospital, so I would walk at the hospital. And that helped me to level out my stress, because it was just like, I'm here, I'm scared. And I'm by myself. But I had to, because in my situation, for me, that was what I had to go through. Not everybody is the same. Not everybody has to move. So don't think that. But my way of getting through that was kept visualizing. My goal was to get back home so that I could be with my mom, because my mom was sick. And I did not want to leave her to begin with. But she forced me. She said, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do to get experience. And so when you make that sort of commitment and you start to get into that, okay, this is a scary thing. And I could have given it up and said, no, I'll just stay here. I'll just keep trying to, get a job here and try to do this and try to do that, just to try to get myself through this time. But this is a commitment that you have to keep going towards. And so my mom was like, no, you got to go. You have to go, so that way you can get your experience and then come back. And so as I get there and I'm trying to get through all of these things, and I start doing my walking, because that was the only thing that was leveling out any kind of nervous feeling that I had, because this was like, I could not fail. I could not fail at this, because otherwise I'd have to go back home. And I didn't want to do that. I had to start with the audits. I had to start with getting audited, and I had to go through and go in a clinic that nobody wanted. I was a profi coder. Nobody wanted to do it. Nobody understood it. They didn't want to do it. So I had to learn it. That was the first thing I learned outside the cancer therapy research center, is that I had to learn profi coding. So that was just like, okay, that's an extra challenge now. But as I started to face that challenge of like, okay, I'm going to have to start researching cardio. I'm going to have to start researching all of these things. I made that commitment. No, this is going to work. Hands down, this is going to work. And again, going back to putting myself on a schedule and making sure that I had time to study, and then making sure that I had time to just do something that I knew was just downtime. And so for me, my downtime was not just reading. I didn't want to just be with a book all the time. So I started doing a lot more walking. I was lifting weights at the time. So there was something that I could focus my energy on, which was working out and just spending a little bit of time doing that, and then setting that schedule. And so that, again, is what gave me that structure, so that I didn't have to have a focus or worry on other things. I could literally focus my energy on doing those types of things. But this wasn't just what I went through. I've seen so many other people go through a lot worse. And for people who have spouses that were not supportive, when I first got here, there was a woman that I worked with, very close friends with at the time, and she just did not have a very supportive spouse at all. He would give her a hard time every time she came to work. I don't know what happened with them, but it's just, that was something that she had to go through. But the thing that she liked the most was the coding. And so I saw that for her as her escape, because she could really flourish under her coding thing. And so when I got here, this is my third position, and moving again in less than a year. moving again, a stressful thing, twice, 3 times in a year. And you get here, and then everything just kind of falls apart. When I got here, my stress went through the roof, losing my mom, being in a hospital, like clinic, with girls that were mean and were bent on being mean. How do you get through that? Coding. That was honestly how I got my escape, was through the coding. So while I had all this chaos and all these things going on, I focused on the coding. And it's honestly what got me through that time. So even as a student, you can still say, you know what, even this hour, this 1 hour that I'm going to spend on this is going to be towards my goal. But this 1 hour is where I can just focus on this. I don't have to worry, because I could just hit a pause button. For me, when I lost my mom, I could hit a pause button on my grief. I could hit a pause button on these mean girls that were right here next to me. I could hit a pause button on that, and I could just put my headphones in and focus on my work. My productivity was really good. My accuracy stayed good, because I was just so sheer focused on what I was doing. And I gave myself my 8 hours during the day to be okay and to be focused. And that was during my work time. But then after work, it was just something completely different. You know, there's people handle things different ways. But for me, that was my one saving grace, was that I could focus that time. But I had to tell myself that it's okay that I didn't understand something, or it was okay that I didn't have anybody that I could reach out for help and ask, like anything on the coding. I had to, in my immediate vicinity, my friend Jessica, who I had just left at my previous place, she had moved away, but we kept in contact. So if I had a coding question, I could always go to her, you know. And that was something that I was like, okay, that's a good post. But that helped me get through that stressful time. And then it was just trying to start all over again and being here by myself. And so that's like, again, where you're looking at these things that can help you, and escaping to this, because this does not change. In theory, it does not change as far as like how it goes and what you do and how you look it up and things like that. Yes, the rules do change, but this does not change. Medical coding stays constant. It's consistent. And the people who have stressful lives, they always tell you to look for consistency. Look for something that is constant, because change is constant, as I have seen in the last 13 years. Change is constant. But what thing that you can hang on to is something that you grow to love. For me, was it an immediate love that I had for medical coding? No. All I thought it was a great job. It was a great job, and this is a good career. That's all I thought. It was not a passion just yet. But again, focusing on that one constant that I had, which was, this is what I got to do. I got to study. And the more I studied, the easier things got. The easier things got, the more I got confident. The more I got confident, the more it led to me understanding this is a passion. But it didn't happen overnight. And when people see me, like on the channel and new students, they say, well, wow, you know, I really want to like it like you do, Bleu. This takes time. And it's not always this great and wonderful thing. Sometimes I get frustrated with it too. I get frustrated with the people that I'm around, that I work around, and my providers. I get frustrated with them too. But again, having that stress, having your one thing that you can focus on with stress release is good. And whether it is spending time with your family, but making sure that you focus on your studies for that 1 hour when you do them, that's going to really help you, give you that consistent marker. Other than my mom, I don't have anybody else. So I don't have that, you know, as far as like, well, I don't have small children. I don't have any children, you know. And so I didn't have to worry about that. But again, I had other stress things that I had to worry about. So it balances out. You know, everybody's situation is different, but everybody deals with stress differently. And getting onto yourself is never a good thing. Telling yourself that you can't do something when everybody else is already beating you up, as far as like beating you up, like as far as like, oh, you can't do it, you can't do it. You don't need to be another person telling yourself that, yeah, no, you can't do it. Yeah, you can. You can do anything that you set your mind to. Literally anything, no matter what anybody tells you, you can. But it has to be you to say, yes, you can. And you have to be committed enough to say, okay, I'm going to fall, but that's okay. I'm going to get right back up. So don't ever talk down on yourself and say that you can't do it. Or what if you can't? Because a lot of people are preoccupied with the what ifs rather than this is what's going to happen. I have a plan currently for myself. And I say for myself, this is my plan. And this is going to be a little bit of a bumpy road to get there, but I'm going to get there. No matter what. Come heck or high water, I'm going to get there. And having that plan, having that focus is half the battle right there. Believing in yourself is the other half. If you don't believe in yourself, you've got nothing. And if that's your problem right now, where you're just not sure of yourself, we were all not sure. We were all not sure. But the difference between those who make it and those who don't is that those who make it thought better to do for themselves, as far as like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to stop until I get what I want. And everybody has that ability. Nobody has that, well, so-and-so doesn't have that and so-and-so does. You can come from a very good background and you can come from a not so good, not so supportive background, and you can still make it. But it's all up to you. And the only one that can get you there is you. So put aside that worry when you are in your studies. Put that aside, because again, it's going to suck your energy up. And you already need it for this. Trust me, this is going to give you plenty. And sometimes I wonder to myself, even when I was studying for the CCS, I was like, how do doctors do it? How did they do it? You know, when they're in medical school. How did they do it to learn all of this stuff? But they did it, you know? So let's see what we got. Lots of comments. Christina, I am stressing just knowing everything for next month for the CPC. Bleu, is this a field that is ideal for work-life balance? I think it's appropriate for this topic. Christina, flashcards have been helping. Mitney, hi Mitney. Christina, I was going through the program. I was breaking things up and setting schedules too. Yes, Vincent, I got a job as a medical record clerk. Awesome, congratulations, which will help build my resume for future coding jobs. Awesome, lots of congratulations. Liliana, honestly felt the way I am learning this because my school gave me an ethics and professionalism class that taught me every step in a court case. It was really stressful to learn coding in the first semester of class. Christina, I am starting to feel the stress of hopefully moving out on my own next year, but my way of getting through that is knowing my best friend will be close by. Vincent, you're welcome. AK, yay, I caught a live. What do you think about University of Phoenix? CB, thank you for sharing your journey, Blue. Hannah, University of Phoenix is really good. I did an online course a few years ago and I really like them. They're also very expensive. CB, I am so done with for-profit schools, just my own opinion. Maria, I know this may sound crazy. My husband and my kids are the only ones that I know that I'm taking the CPC course. We have kept it to ourselves because many people doubted me. Yeah, that's true. AK says, thank you, Hannah. I am so new to the medical billing and coding world, and I think that I've talked to about 10 different schools in the last few weeks, and it's kind of confusing me, but classes start on December 14th. Okay. As far as work-life balance, so is this field ideal for work-life balance? Absolutely. You know, once you get past the bulk of having to learn, a lot of stuff with the coding, or once you get past that those new new coder, not quite sure jitters, and you get into the whole thing, this is not going to consume your life. The studying part, it's not going to consume your whole life. You know, some people, one person asked me that we have to give up our whole lives. I never said that. I don't know why people would think that, but somebody asked me that. I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. You know, when you have your life and you're able to do things, I have a life outside of this, believe it or not. It may not seem like it because I'm here a lot, but I do have a life outside of this. I do things that are not coding related a lot. And even when I had spent time with the church, I still had the channel. The channel was growing and new and everything like that. So I'm not so much doing a lot of things with it right now with the church because of, you know, the whole pandemic thing. But back then, I mean, again, I was still doing a lot of that. Now I have a lot of things that I do that are not related to this, that are not related to work at all. So it really all depends on the individual. It depends on your ability to be able to handle stress. When people ask me the question of, is medical coding stressful field? It depends on how you handle the stress. If you are just so preoccupied with all the things that could possibly go wrong, with everything that you don't know, or so-and-so doesn't like me, that's going to be pretty stressful. And you're going to be able to, like, that's going to cloud everything. And it's going to steal your joy. It's going to steal, you know, any kind of joy that you can get out of this field, because you're so preoccupied with what could go wrong, right? If you do that, then you're setting yourself up to fail. Instead, think about all the great things. What are you learning? Are you developing your relationship with your providers? Are you connecting with other professionals so that you can build your professional skills and communication and all that good stuff? Are you doing that? Focus on that. Don't focus on all the negative stuff, on everything else, because some people can literally be scared into not doing anything ever. And I know somebody personal, close person that I know, scared of everything. Starts it, stops it. Starts studying coding, stops immediately as soon as they feel they don't understand something. I'm frustrated with it. Okay, then this is probably not for you because they've started and stopped so many times and not getting past a certain point. So there are times when, yeah, maybe it's not for certain, you know, if you're not sticking with it, if you're not really committing to it, but commit to something, right? Because life is like that. And by the time you know it, you're going to be at retirement age. And you know how many people hit retirement age and wish that they had done something else, a different career field? Man, I really wish I would have gone back to school. I really wish I would have not been so afraid. Okay, how do you stop? How do you stop being afraid? How do you start believing in yourself? By telling yourself, yes, I can. Even when you don't feel like it, yes, I can. Because the more you tell yourself that, the more it's going to be easier. And the more you get into that routine and that, okay, I got 1 hour to do this, and then I can stop. And then I can continue my life. And then I got to come back to this and do it another hour and continue on. That's the only way you're going to be able to get through it. If you can't set that pace, if you can't set yourself up for success that way, then what are you going to do? You know, and I hate to think of anybody giving this up so easily. But if you've already committed to it, you've been through the school, go through the school, finish the school, get your certification. And when you fall, you got to get right back up, because these tests are considered difficult. And if you've already been through this exam 1 time or 2 times or even 3 times, and you keep having to take a run at it, it's okay. These are difficult tests. And sometimes when people are looking at these tests and they get all kind of scared and everything, it's not about, oh, I'm going to fail it again. It's this time, no, this time I'm going to do it. And if you don't do it, that's okay. You know what? That's all right. I'm going to get the next one. Because if you stop, then you're going to stop. And you're not going to get what you want. So you have to be strong enough, people. You do. And it is about getting that mental strength. And that mental strength is not easy to get. It is not easy to say, oh, I'm going to be strong one day. You actually have to go through the motions of doing it in order to get there. It is like lifting weights, right? You can't say, well, I'm going to bench 320. If you've never built up to benching 320, you're never going to bench 320, right? You got to build yourself up. It's the same thing when you are in a career. And is it going to get stressful? Yes. Are you going to want to quit it? Yes. But should you? No. You got to keep going. Because if you stop, you're always going to stop. And then what does that say to your children when they see you? What does that say to your family members when they look up to you? Oh, so-and-so, we know so-and-so is going to do the right thing. And then you quit to go back to whatever it is that you were doing instead of fighting for a career that you want. Hannah, when I worked at Starbucks, they paid for my tuition. That's what's really good about Starbucks. AK, my husband and I are going to start fertility treatments in the near future. Congratulations. I'm so nervous about starting school and the stress levels, honey. You got to bring those stress levels down because you have a baby to make, right? CB, I knew you had a life when you mentioned your sports car. I love it. You are making a lot of sense. AK, surprisingly, University of Phoenix was like $4,000 cheaper than the other schools I have found. It's still $11,000 though. JS, some family members are doubting me because they think I'm not being wise to enroll in a medical coding course, not a real job. Why not remain in nursing? These videos are helpful. Let me get back to that one. Hannah, this stuff has stuck with me. It's all I think about, actually having the mental strength to do what is stressful. But then it gets easier, right? So in the beginning, because you don't know what's going to happen, that's the scary part. You don't know what's going to happen. And you're unsure. But how do we combat not knowing? We arm ourselves with knowledge, right? That is how we combat the unknown, is by arming ourselves with knowledge. So the more that you study and the more that you read, the more you do your flashcards, the more you go over little cute books like this. Make things easier for you to study and listen to all these things, listen to these YouTube channels where they talk about the disease process and where they talk about medical terminology, so you don't constantly have to read. When you do things like that, that is arming yourself with knowledge, and that is going to give you some kind of strength to go on. Because if you don't have that, that's just like saying, okay, I'm gonna plop you in here, never been to medical coding school, never studied a medical coding book on your own, but we're gonna plop you in a clinic and just, here you go, sink or swim. It's not like that. You have knowledge. You already have knowledge, so you're just building on that knowledge. And that's what you're doing when you are arming yourself with knowledge, because it's going to make it a lot less stressful when you are doing your due diligence and checking the boxes like you're supposed to, right? CBJS, from what I understand, many nurses turn to coding after burnout or just because they feel that it is a good alternative. And JS says, right, Yvette, I'm scheduled my test and I'm nervous yet excited. Well, that's good. That's a good combination. Kung Fu Ken, practice, 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 and practice. And trust the time that you put in. The best thing that you can do is put in your time to practice, and that's all you have to trust in. I couldn't have said it better myself. Shannon says, you can do it, Yvette. CB, smile face. And nurses, that want to get into this, right? Why don't you just stay being a nurse? Why do you want to get into medical coding? For nurses, it is a good alternative to facing burnout on the bedside, right? Because like sometimes nurses can feel that they have to put out so much empathy all day long for so many years, and then sometimes they just burn out. Dr. Zubin Damania calls it moral injury, right? He doesn't call it burnout, he calls it moral injury, because there's so many things that they go through emotionally, being there with the patients, holding the patient's hand, and seeing them through those rough times, being there with the patient's families, and all of these things, plus everything with the doctors. So getting into coding is a great alternative to all of that, because you still get to use your clinical knowledge in a really good way, right? And then you get to still be in the field that can reward you like intellectually and everything else. I mean, everybody knows that the pay is good. I don't ever give salaries on my channel, but everybody knows the pay is good. So it's not like you're going to be hurting if you go into this versus being a nurse. So that's the thing, you know, I've made more than nurses. So again, it really all depends on where you are and everything that you're doing and that kind of thing. But when you are choosing to do something and it's your life, it's not your family's life, it's not your cousin's life, it's not your parents' life, it is your life. It is something that can sustain you. And look at these people that a lot of people lost their jobs. Look at the food service industry, how it suffered at the beginning of the pandemic, right? Wait staff, they suffered. You know, bussers, they suffered because nobody could go into these restaurants. Hairdressers suffered because they couldn't do people's hair. All of the places got shut down. What was the one thing that carried people through during this time? Of course, people who was working in the drive-through, right? But a lot of that staffing had to be reduced. Do you know the staffing that did not have to get reduced? Medical. The medical coders. This is when we were brought out to shine, because think about this. All of these statistics that they were putting out, who do you think all of those statistics came from? Those codes that had to be captured and everything, who do you think they came from? The coders. So we are responsible for that. This is something that can carry us through. So people who don't think really well on this, who say that, oh, coding is not this and coding is that, and are you a coder? If you're not, then please have a seat. If you're not a coder, you have no idea what this is. Oh, well, you know, I'm a nurse and no, I know about coders. Okay, but have you served as a coder before? Well, no. Okay. Again, I've heard nurses say bad things about coders, and I've heard them say good things. So whichever side of the camp you're on, if you are looking into this, or if you're doing this right now and you're afraid of what other people are going to say to you, or your family members are not so sure if this is a good thing for you, if they're not coders, that's not the best to take advice from, especially if you've already invested time into it. Okay, so that is what I would say about something like that. But it is your life. When you are wanting to switch from nursing to medical coder, it is your life. And there's so many nurses that have done that. They have switched from nursing to medical coding and have made stellar educators, stellar CDIs, stellar auditors. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, right? And they've done well. So, and a lot of them are a lot more happier than they were at the bedside. And to me, there's nothing worse than an unhappy nurse on the bedside. Because trust me, I don't want a nurse that's unhappy and is burnt out being my nurse. No. You can bring in another nurse. No. So that's the thing, you know, where are you going to be the most happy? If you are miserable doing what you do and you want to do something else, and by all means, find a way, make a way. But don't sit there and let somebody else dictate your life. Don't sit there and allow somebody else to say, well, you know, I don't talk to my extended family. I don't. because they're negative like that. I had an aunt just like that, negative. Everything out of her mouth was negative. The soonest I didn't ever have to talk to her again is the soonest I did not talk to her ever again, because she's a miserable woman. And I said I would never, ever, ever want to be around somebody like that. And I've been happier for it, because I refuse to surround myself with anybody that's going to make me miserable or sad or feel bad about myself. And oh, she was good for that. She was real good for that. She loved to make people feel miserable. And so I refuse, flat refuse, to have that in my life. And I'm happier for it. Look at me. I got a full-time job. Oh, I do this. Not just that. I do professional coaching. I do resume reviews. I do resume rewrites. I do Patreon. I do a lot of things. And I have an enriched life because of it. Because I'm very picky and choosy about who I have around me. And that keeps my stress level low. And it's the same thing at work, when I don't have to be involved with any of these girls and their drama. Why? Because I focus on where my energy needs to go, which is my providers. When I decided that I didn't need all these girls and their drama, my life got a lot easier. And the girls, they don't talk to me. There's a few girls that do, but for the most part, I am okay with it, because that means I don't have to deal with your drama. I get to deal with my providers, which, trust me, they are enough. All by themselves, they are enough. But sometimes as they irritate me or they do stuff, I enjoy working with them. They make it worth it when I go to work, because I look forward to working with them. I look forward to, okay, what are they going to bring me now? So that is what I like, in this field. You can pick and choose who you have around you. You can pick and choose what you deal with, what you don't deal with. It is entirely up to you. And even if it is your family and what they think, and it doesn't matter what they think. It doesn't matter if they say, oh, well, so-and-so is going to think that they're so good because they work in a hospital. So what? You work in a hospital? Well, so-and-so thinks that they're so good because they work with doctors. So if you wanted to work with doctors, then you work with doctors. But that's your life. This is your path. This is what you choose. And whatever you choose to do, you got to be happy with it, folks. You got to be happy with it. Because if you're not happy, again, it's like the nurse who's not happy being a nurse and who is your nurse. Do you want a nurse like that? No. You want a nurse that's happy to be a nurse, that wants to be a nurse. It's the same thing like if a doctor is treating you, a surgeon is treating you. Do you want a surgeon that's burnt out, that doesn't want to be a surgeon? Do you want a lawyer that doesn't want to practice law anymore? No, because that lawyer, that attorney has lost his fight. Same thing with a doctor. That surgeon has lost their fight. You don't want somebody like that. So don't waste your time in something that you don't want to do. Get focused on what is going to make you happy. Well, I don't know what's going to make me happy. Start small. Start by focusing on what you want. Well, I want to go back to school. Good. Okay. All right. Find out what position that you want. What do you want to do? Does it require a college degree? If it doesn't, if it only requires a certification, go the certification route. Start there. Start at the certification route. It's like when I hear from people who say, well, Blue, I have my RHIA, but I only wanted to be a coder. That school is going to sell you coding. I mean, it's like the manager package, because they want your money. That's why I always hope people will share my channel, so that way people know all you need is a certification to get in. You just need one. And that's a heck of a lot cheaper than trying to get a degree right out of the gate and you have no idea what this is. Do your research. Find out what makes you happy. I like working with people. I like reading. I like looking at documents all day. I like the puzzle. All right, then go for it. Stop being afraid. What are you afraid of? A lot of things, I know. Not finding a job, yes. Apply at the temp agency. People who keep running into the wall saying, I'm afraid, apply at the temp agency. They won't apply at the temp agency. Well, I really want a job, Blue. How do you think you're going to be able to get in? Every single assignment that you get put on for the temp agency, that's filler for your resume. That's all your employer is looking for. That is all they are looking for. Just go there. It's not going to hurt you to apply with the temp agency and get yourself registered. Because even if you're in school and then right now you're going to take your certification exam and you want to go ahead and start applying for jobs, you've already completed your program, you already have the training, you're just not certified yet. You never know. That temp agency may be able to find you something in the medical records department. Oh, we know that so-and-so is going to be a medical coder soon. Well, they worked really well and they really know what they're doing. What certifications do they have yet? They don't have a certification yet. Oh, okay. Well, when they get a certification, they just tell them you have 6 months to get it if you work here. But you have to put yourself in those positions, people. You have to. If you don't, then all of that time is going to pass on by. Everybody wants experience, Blue. 2008, everybody wanted experience. Same thing. This has been going on for years, and it's not just medical coding. These radiologists and the phlebotomy techs, they all go through that. Everybody wants experience, and which I think is really stupid. You got the training. If you can pass an assessment test, what is the problem? You're losing a lot of talent. This industry loses hundreds of talented medical coders because they gave up. Don't be that person that gives up. Don't give up on that dream. Manage your stress how you need to, whether it's walking, whether it's cooking, whether it's spending time with your family, whatever you got to do. Manage your stress so that you can get through those times, because that stress is always going to be there no matter what you do. Whether it's even this field or something else or something else or something else, there's always going to be stress. And how you handle it is how you're going to make yourself successful. You think all these big CEOs, you think they come from lives that don't have stress? No, they've got tons. They know how to manage that stress. It's the same thing that you got to do. It's the same thing that they did. They learned how to manage it. Christina says, at Yvette, I feel the same stress. Woo-sa. I love that. Boom. Hannah, on the flip side, I've gotten crap from nurses wanting to do this. Sorry, nurse one. Yes, have a seat, Missy. CV, yes, people like to weigh in on your life, but they do not invite you to weigh in on theirs. Don't let people live your life. They have their own lives to live. There you go. Christina, my whole family is in the same way on both sides. Maria, neither do I. That's why I moved to Florida. No family around, sad to say. Kung Fu Ken Blue, it seems that all the HIM and coding YouTubers are all in the Midwest and East Coast. It seems like there are none here on the West Coast. That's random. JS, you're welcome. Yeah, that's kind of random. Yeah, I don't look at other YouTubers, and this is my channel. I mean, I'm not concerned with any other YouTubers. I don't watch other YouTubers' channels. I take that back. I did watch Coding with Kate when I first started YouTube, right? Because I wanted to see, what was out there. Was there any other medical coders out there? And Coding with Kate popped up. Now, Kate fell off the map. I don't know what happened to Kate. I would love to meet Coding with Kate because I think she's so genuinely herself. I enjoyed her show. She has not put out new material in a couple of years now. So again, I don't know what happened to her. I wouldn't even know how to find her, but I don't concern myself with other medical coders in their channels. Mazel tov, great for them. But this is my channel, and I share what I know. This is the way I do things, and and as far as like where everybody is, I mean, I don't know, California. I mean, I would think that there's tons of people in California that are medical coders. So, but yeah, that's my thing for tonight, guys. Don't let anybody else dictate your life and what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do things. When I got here, everybody here is AAPC, and they all told me, "Well, Blue, you should get a CPC so you can be like the rest of us." I said, "I already have a CCA. Why do I need a CPC? My credential says I can code both inpatient and outpatient, and the CPC says it's only outpatient. Come on. Why do I need to be like everybody else? I don't. We're all coders. It's okay. I'll still talk to you if you're AAPC. It doesn't matter. I'm equal opportunity." And they're like, "Well, Blue," and I'm like, "What?" You know? I don't know. You're asking me, so I don't know. Maybe it's something I don't want to answer the way you asked. Saw me. But yes. So when you are out there and somebody else is trash talking you and talking down on your dreams, guys, smile, nod, and let it go in one ear and out the other. And I know it's hard. Trust me, I know that's hard. Well, the most hardest thing in the world is to ignore somebody that's talking to you like that, especially somebody that you love, and especially somebody that you're close to, you know. But at the same time, you can't let other people dictate your life, and you can't let other people tell you that this is what they want for you. Sometimes people are real good at telling other people what to do in their lives, but then their own life is all messed up. So if you're going to take advice from somebody, take advice from somebody whose life you want to be like, right? Somebody who you want to emulate. I wouldn't take advice from somebody who, I always say this, I'll say this. I don't ask, like, okay. My former boss, I had to train her on doing profi coding. If you've been with my channel a while, you know the story. I had to train her. Why would I go to her for medical coding questions if I had to train her? That does not make sense to me, because we, in my mind, then we are equals. Then you know what I know. I need to go to somebody who knows more than you do. That's how I look at things. So again, when I'm looking to take advice from anybody, if they don't have it together, I'm not taking their advice. And when people are insulting or whatever, okay, again, I look at the things that I'm doing versus what they're doing, and I don't listen. Because why? I'm not emulating your life, right? I need to surround myself with people that are positive and that I want to be like. Not somebody who's miserable and just saying ugly things just to be saying them. Nope. Not tonight. So, if you have not had a chance to, we are going to be reviewing this book on November, I was going to say January again, November the 29th on a Monday night. We're going to be reviewing this QVC style. This has 600 questions in it, and it covers all of the CPT book, the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 series, the anesthesia section, the coding guidelines, compliance and regulatory issues, evaluation and management, HCPCS Level 2, ICD-10 CM, laboratory and pathology, medicine and radiology. All of these questions are in here. This is a very good book. There's a couple of things that I caught in this book so far, but for the most part, if you are studying for a medical coding certification with a HEMA or AAPC, even though it says that it is 600 questions for the CPC, the CPC covers the outpatient setting in coding. The CCS, the CCA, and the CCS-P all cover outpatient coding as well. So this is a very handy book to look at, to study with, even if you are not taking the CPC. it is still a handy book to study with. So we are going to be reviewing this book, and if you have not had a chance to get yours, if you want to follow along, that is totally fine. This is, if you want to, I will have the Amazon affiliate link. You do not have to click on that link because obviously I'm giving you guys the title here. You can check it out on Amazon. It is $14 for this book. So again, we're going to be reviewing this. If you want to follow along, if you're studying, even if you're a veteran coder, this is still a good thing to brush up on because it does cover anatomy and medical terminology, which for me, I was like, I should be ashamed. There are some things in here that I have forgotten. So this is a good book to study with, even if you have your certification already. I have the CCS-P and the CCS. So clearly I have a couple other things to do, but this is a good book to study with, and we are going to be reviewing that. This is the first time we're going to be doing a book review all together. So if you want to be in on the fun, if not, you can watch the show, and that's totally fine too. Everybody is welcome. Christina says that the rationales are very detailed. So yes, they are. And I like the rationales. I like that it gives you the answer as well. Again, there's a few things that I've caught in the evaluation and management section. Obviously, this was not updated with the new E&M in mind. So that is the only section that I feel is kind of, but other than that, it's a really good book. I recommend it. People ask me all the time, what books do I recommend? And that is one of the things that I do recommend highly. All right. So does anybody else have any other questions before we wrap it up? And I want y'all to know that it is going to get stressful at times, but you can get through it. You just can't give up on it. And when you are stressed out in life, then escape to the books, escape to medical coding. And I've told y'all before too, even with studying, you don't always have to read, but you can actually open up the book and actually flip to each and every single page and just look at the page so you can get familiar with the book. There's a lot of really helpful information throughout the book, and it's there for the for the mind, because your brain will start to absorb this the more you expose your brain to these things. And I know it's a lot of heavy lifting, but it is just for a short amount of time. It is not forever, and you're going to be better once you get on that other side. But you just got to keep going. If you're down right now, just get back up. Get back up, and go. Just keep going. Don't give it up just because it gets a little hard. You got to keep going, guys. You're welcome, Hannah. And you're welcome, Yvette. Thank you both for the blue hearts. It's going to get easier. I promise. It will get easier, but you just got to commit. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up if no one else has any other questions. Yes? No? Maybe so? All right. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you have not already. Thank you for all the hearts, Christina. Thank you. And I'm also on Facebook if you are looking to join me on Facebook, or Meta, or whatever the heck it is called now. On there as Medical Coding with Blue. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye.